Hello students. In this video, I'll be covering Chapter 5 and 6, Memory and Test-Taking Strategies. In order to study successfully, students must learn to concentrate at a high level. It is important to know where we study best. Some students study well at home. Other students study well at a library or a coffee shop. There's no best for all. Your best environment is based on you and your preferences. It's also important to know when we study best. Many students are most efficient studying in the morning when they are fresh. Studying late in the day may be the only option for some students, but often we are tired at the end of the day, and this can have a major effect on study efficiency. Figuring out where and when we study best may take some time, and even when we find the best place and time to study, we also have to be aware of distractions, which can be internal or external. An internal distraction includes thought processes, self-esteem, or confidence. It's something that interrupts you from what you're doing. It may also be a computer or a cell phone, something that is controlled by you. Many students intend to study, but easily get distracted with surfing the internet, checking social media, watching YouTube videos, or receiving a text message. If you do study with your phone or computer, it's best to have all potential alerts turned off. Notification of text messages, emails, or social media updates all can serve as a major distraction to your studying. External distractions might be your roommates, family, or friends. Even if they are supportive of your study, it may be challenging to concentrate when they are around. Saying no is an important skill that may need to be utilized in order for you to have your study time without interruption. Keep in mind that it may take 20 minutes to reach a high level of concentration. When we are interrupted, it takes on average another 23 minutes to get back to the level of concentration that we were at prior to the disruption. Millennials are considered extraordinary multitaskers, though brain science tells us that multitasking is a myth. More likely, they are apt to switch tasks quickly enough to appear to be doing them simultaneously. When it comes to heavy media multitasking, studies show greater vulnerability to interference, leading to decreased performance. Once information has been encoded, we have to retain it. Our brains take the encoded information and place it in storage. Storage is the creation of a permanent record of information. In order for our memory to go into storage, i.e. long-term memory, it has to pass through the three distinct stages: sensory memory, short-term memory, and finally, long-term memory. The first thing our brains do is to take in information from our senses: what we see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. Information we perceive from our senses is stored in what we call the short-term memory. With information, we want to 1. Decide if that information is important. 2. For the information that is important, be able to save the information in our brain on a longer-term basis. This storage is called the long-term memory. 3. Retrieve that information when we need to. Exams often measure how effectively the student can retrieve important information. Moving information from short-term to long-term, this is something that takes a lot of time. There is no shortcut for it. Students who skip putting in the time and work often end up cramming at the end. 1. Preview the information you're trying to memorize. The more familiar you are with what you're learning, the better. 2. Create acronyms. 3. Flashcards are a valuable tool for memorization because they allow students to be able to test themselves. You can even have online flashcards using programs such as Quizlet. 4. Once information is memorized, regardless of when the exam is, the last step is to apply the information. Ask yourself, in what real-world scenario could you apply this information? And for mastery, Try to teach the information to someone else. Pre-test strategies. Answer this question. When should you start preparing for the first test? Circle the answer. 1. The night before. 2. The week prior. 3. The first day of classes. If you answered 3, the first day of classes, you are correct. If you circled all 3, you are also correct. Preparing to pass tests is something that begins when learning begins and continues all the way through to the final exam. Here are some mid-test strategies. Scan the test first to get the big picture of how many test items there are, what types there are, multiple choice, matching, essay, etc., and the point values of each item or group of items. Determine which way you want to approach the test. Some students start with the easy questions first, that is, the ones they immediately know the answers to, saving the difficult ones for later, knowing that they can spend the remaining time on them. Some students begin with the biggest point items first to make sure they get the most points. Determine a schedule that takes into consideration how long you have to test and the types of questions on the test. Essay questions, for example, will require more time than multiple choice or matching questions. Keep your eye on the clock. If you can mark on the test, put a check mark next to items you are not sure of just yet. It's easy to go back and find them to answer later on. You might just find help in other test questions covering similar information. Sit where you are most comfortable. That said, sitting near the front has a couple of advantages. You may be less distracted by other students. Wear earplugs. If noise distracts you, you do not have to start with number 1. You are unsure of it, mark it to come back to later. Bring water. This helps calm the nerves, for one, and water is also needed for optimum brain function. If permitted, get up and stretch, or stretch in your chair from time to time to relieve tension and assist the blood to the brain. If you don't understand why you did not get an item right, ask the instructor. Analyze your results to help you in the future. For example, see if most of your incorrect answers were small things such as failing to include the last step in a math item or neglecting to double check for simple errors in short answer or essay items. See where in the test you made the most errors, beginning, middle, or end. Also, analyze which type of questions, true, false, multiple choice, essay, etc., and which topics were missed. This will help you pay closer attention to the sections in the future. 1. Find out as much about the exam in advance as you can. Some professors will tell you how many questions there will be, what format the exam will be in, how much time you will have, etc., and others will not. Ask questions about the exam. 2. Know the test. If you know how many questions, what the format is, and or how much time you will have, you can start to mentally prepare for the exam much more so than if you were coming in with no information. 3. Take care of your body. Before the exam, it is important to prepare your brain and body for optimal performance for your exam. Do not cram the night before. Get a good night's sleep. Make sure you eat nutritionally before the exam. For true and false questions, look for qualifiers. A qualifier is a word that is absolute. Examples are all, never, no, always, none, every, only, entirely. They are often seen in false statements. This is because it is more difficult to create a true statement using a qualifier like never, no, always, etc. Qualifiers such as sometimes, many, some, most, often, and usually are common found in true statements. Make sure to read the entire statement. All parts of a sentence must be true if the whole statement is to be true. If one part is false, the whole sentence is false. Long sentences are often false for this reason. Students should guess on true and false questions that they do not know the answer to unless there's a penalty for an incorrect answer. Think of multiple choice questions as 4 or 5 true or false statements in one. One of the statements is true, the correct answer, and the others will be false. Apply the same strategy toward qualifiers. If you see an absolute qualifier in one of the answer choices, it is probably false and not the correct answer. Try to identify the true statement. If you can do this, you have the answer as there is only one. If you cannot do this at first, try eliminating answers you know to be false. Answers that are strange and unrelated to the question are usually false. If two answers have a word that looks or sounds similar, one of those is usually correct. If you have to completely guess, choose B or C. It is statistically proven to be correct more than 25% of the time. Although less common than other types of exams, you will likely see some matching exams during your time in college. First, read the instructions and take a look at both lists to determine what the items are and their relationship. It is especially important to determine if both lists have the same number of items and if all items are to be used, and used only once. Take a look at the whole list before selecting an answer because a more correct answer may be found further into the list. Mark items when you are sure you have a match. Pending the number of items in the list, this may eliminate answers for the future. Guessing, if needed, should take place once you have selected answers you are certain about. Short answer questions. Read all the instructions first. Budget your time and then read all of the questions. Answer the ones you know best or feel the most confident with. Then go back to the other ones. If you do not know the answer and there is no penalty for incorrect answers, guess. Use common sense. Sometimes instructors will award partial credit for a logical answer that is related even if it's not the correct answer. Essay questions. If I'm studying for short answer and especially for essay questions, I must know a lot more. For essay questions, I must have much greater content knowledge and be able to make a coherent argument that answers the question using information from textbooks, lectures, and other course materials. I have to place a lot more time and thought into studying for an essay exam than for true-false or multiple choice exams. Read the essay questions and the instructions first. Plan your time wisely and organize your answer before you start to write. Address the answer to the question in your first or second sentence. It may help to restate the original question. Write clearly and legibly. Instructors have difficulty grading essays that they cannot read. Save some time for review when you have finished writing to check spelling, grammar, and coherent thought in your answer. Make sure you have addressed all parts of the essay question. One of the biggest mistakes that students make after they take an exam in a course is that they do not use the exam for the future. The exam contains a lot of information that can be helpful in studying for future exams. Students that perform well on an exam often put it away thinking they do not need it anymore. Students who do poorly on an exam often put it away not wanting to think about it any further. Thank you for watching.